be with you in a minute or so. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host until about 8 o'clock. But the first hour is the Dawn Patrol, because right now we're up before dawn. Not always. My co-host Sam Chase is here. Bob Hoey is doing family commitments today. John McDonough is behind the camera, sometimes on the camera. You can hear his voice a lot when he wants to add his 2 cents, or if we have inflation. You know, I'm not exactly sure what 2 cents with the inflation is, but I'm sure Sam can do a quick calculation with regard to that. Anyway, we have a number of current events to talk about. We also have questions that we have on the ballot that we'll cover. We have Judith Bessette coming in at 7 a.m., and we have a whole lot of different people, throughout the month of October. This is birthday month for a couple of us. So we just end up being another year older. Coming in this morning, it was like about 45, 43. It's not raining. However, it is raining to the south of us.
It was wet, though. The streets were wet coming in, with the mist type.
Well, I would assume that's because it's like 40-something degrees,
right,
and
the dew.
And then
right.
The air, the ground is a little bit warmer than that. I know that when we were at in New Hampshire last weekend, I should send a picture so that maybe I shouldn't send a picture to John. A lot of like fog on the water. Some of it's pretty, and sometimes you can't even see the other side of the lake. It's so thick. But it does clear off, as the sun comes up.
It's supposed to be nice today. That's what the report said at 4 o'clock this morning anyway. So.
Well, we did have some rain, but it wasn't yesterday, and it wasn't early this morning, even though the original forecast was for it to rain today. I'm happy it's not raining, because there's a whole pile of stuff I've got to pile into the back of my van to take up to the lake house. We have a guy that's up there that does metal. So,
scrap metal?
Scrap metal. So we leave the scrap metal. I have some stuff in the back of my van now, because I thought it was going to rain. So I put it there anyway, and we've brought some very large items up for him, and quite a bit of stuff over the years. We even gave him the old wood stove that had been in the basement, the original one, of that particular house. That was interesting, so I'm sure he got a few bucks for that. There is
What are they paying for scrap?
I don't know, but I can look it up on my telephone. Some stuff I just keep just in case, because I can always bring it down to Lowell and go over to Plain Street to Levine's and actually get money for it. I did that when I cleaned out my uncle's house 10 years ago. I brought a lot of aluminum over there. And by the time we finished with the aluminum and the copper, I had about $100. But
Yeah, it's worth talking about. It's, what, now, 3 years ago, when I had my old 1950 Dodge, and the engine blew up, and I decided, okay, that's it, I'm not going to put any more money into this thing. So I wanted to sell the car. I had no idea what it was worth with the blown engine, so the first thing I did was I called 3 scrap metal places just to get the scrap value of the car, so that gave me a baseline. So it was $500, and that car weighed, I don't know, 3,400 pounds. And that's what they said they would, that was the highest number. So that gave me a good baseline to sell the car, and that was worth more than that because, all the other components on the vehicle were working and the body parts and everything. But, when I was trying to calculate it, I said, I'm certainly not going to let it go for less than the scrap value because that's what I can get for it. So it's really surprising. If you have a lot of stuff around the house, it could be worth some money. So.
a lot of people don't want to do that. There are people you can call that are local, and I had said to Glenn, because I see on Facebook sometimes people going, how do I get rid of the hot water heater? How do I get rid of my old this, old that? Well, this particular person even took air conditioners, but he will not take refrigerators or anything that has Freon in it. And there's still a lot of different small appliances you can throw out in your trash that are safe to throw out, but it's better if you could recycle them, obviously. But I mean, I've been doing recycling and repurposing and all kinds of things for decades and decades. But now that we found him, that works out quite nicely. So I do have metal. Now, last week, we didn't bring it up only because there was a new antique shop. Well, actually, it's an old antique shop, but it's new ownerships. That's in Albany, New Hampshire.
As long as the antiques aren't new, you're okay, right?
Oh, yeah, funny. So I cleaned out my shed. I had a number of other things. I still had some stuff from my mother, so we packed up the van, and we had to pack up the Tahoe because it's bigger items. And we dropped those off at a friend's house who is friends with the person that's going to open up this shop. And I think she said it's on Route 16, and it's in Albany, New Hampshire, which is south of Conway, obviously. I don't know how that's going to look, but Glenn and I thought we might take a ride up there this coming weekend just to see, how the woman set it up and all that stuff. But I mean, I had a lot of stuff that it has value, but it only has value if you find the right buyer, and I'm not in the market to start another business.
Limited market for that stuff.
Yeah, true. And when you have all these minimalistic people out there, and they're getting rid of stuff. Yeah. Well, as far as where I'm going is, I thought to myself, well, I've kept it for 55 years or 60 in some cases. I'm not that old, but I've been conscious of things like that since I was very young. And at some point, since everybody's thrown everything away, the things, if I keep them, then my kids will, there won't be as much on the market to compete.
They'll have to throw it away.
Well, right now, we're having a brief discussion about who wants what. And
do they actually want things?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yes. And it depends on what it is. It's not jewelry, obviously, because I don't have that much. It's not a big deal. And as far as electronics and stuff goes, that's all relatively new. I'm talking about things that are in the early 1900s. You could have mid-century modern items, which we all have, because we grew up in the mid-century, according to definition. That's the 1950s. But I also have stuff into the 1800s, and it's kind of interesting to see what that is. I'm not sure if some of the stuff I have is earlier than that, but it would be 1 or 2 items, and if anybody wanted to try to figure out how to get it, they'd have to try to figure out where it would be, and they'd have to know what they were looking for.
The furniture I grew up with, my father used to describe it as early Ralph Cramden.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, well, that's what it was.
And that dates us because when we have the Jackie Gleason show, that was originally, that's black and white. Yep. And then some people, as you come down in the generations, then you get to Archie Bunker, because he had his old chair, and he said whatever he felt like saying, which he would not be politically correct today, which means...
His own chair is continued through today.
Pardon me?
his own chair has continued through today. Everybody knows what my chair is. Sam, do you have a chair?
Do I have a chair?
I'm asking Sam.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a chair.
Yeah, actually, I do. I mean, I never really thought about it, but yes, I guess I do.
How about you? Have you got a chair, or does Glenn have a chair?
Oh, I bought Glenn a chair. So we have a
So Glenn, you
recliner.
will sit there.
And I will
got
sit
you.
in it.
He has a
Yeah,
chair.
Yeah, we have a recliner, finally. And there are some other ones. And there's always, it's funny how you end up like either sitting to the right or the left of wherever
Yeah.
the TV might be.
I don't often sit in it though, but it really kind of is my chair. I'm usually on the
Why don't
couch.
you use it?
Because I don't really spend too much time in that room.
Oh,
So that's probably the reason why.
understood.
Mostly my time I spend in my office, unfortunately.
So look, at a couple of little changes we had this week. I didn't think we'd ever be able to get back on Facebook again, but we're back on Facebook now.
Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I found a workaround. So Facebook won't take the software that we put out to public access stations. So
Oh,
we put, so between when I say we, my son Joe, he helped me on this project. He came up with the idea, put it on YouTube, Dad, and then put YouTube on your TV set, and just put your camera in front of the TV set and put it out to Facebook.
there you go.
Well, remember last week I said to you, all you have to do is put your cell phone down if it has to go through your cell phone, but your son had another link through there. So
How's
it's
the,
kinda
how's the,
awesome.
qua- how's the
Problem with-
quality?
The problem with putting the cell phone in here is when we are on break, Evelyn will talk about her shoe size, Sam will talk about where he did this, and where, so you don't realize you're broadcasting to. So that's why it's better in the other room. So we go on break, and we're talking turkey, okay, we're gonna do this. The audience can't hear the break.
So how is the quality on Facebook with that new arrangement? Is it okay?
It seems to look better to me.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
But the
go.
good thing about it, one of my Florida friends that is hurricaned down, living off their site today, he can watch it on YouTube. He just says YouTube City Life Show, and bam, we come up.
Cool. I like it. Because
That-
I was wondering what you were doing because I
That's
noticed.
probably better, actually, yeah.
I noticed on Facebook that now we have number of views. And I was like, okay, so how does he do that? But I figured I would ask you.
Well, Facebook tells you how many people viewed that.
Yeah.
But I also put a direct link to,
So does YouTube.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's how I watch
direct
all the
link to
telemedia
YouTube.
programs,
So,
because the quality
right,
is
let me
better.
just show you what we're putting out this morning. And so that's you guys
On
chattering right
Facebook.
now, okay? That's what's going on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That's off my iPhone.
Well,
But up here,
that looks okay.
you click this link, it'll bring you to YouTube, and you gotta hit play, and it'll show up sooner or later. And what we're showing on Facebook is us. We'll go back to you guys.
No, that's
Well, kind of interesting.
So
Well,
let's
at least we're trying to make sure that we're out there and everybody knows what we think. We wanted to also.
Does anyone care?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, what's interesting is an awful lot of things that we discuss when I'm here, because I don't listen to the other programs just simply because of the time
Oh,
frame.
one more thing.
Yes.
No texts this week. Can't take text this week because,
Your phone's out in the other room.
right, but there is a feature, and my colleague Joanna, she couldn't make time to come over here yesterday because Joe's in Arizona on vacation. So what happened was you can tell your iPhone to send all your texts to your computer. So I got to figure out a way to do that. And Joanna tried to tell me how to do it. I couldn't make it happen. So I'm gonna coax her to come over to the studio today. Or if Joe's supposed to come back today, so if he's in the mood, I'll coax him to come over and make my phone. All my messages come onto this computer.
No, it's good that you have some help. You don't have to figure all this stuff out for yourself.
Good to have a
Right.
geek around.
Right.
So what I was going to say was
Excuse me.
we are not a scripted show. I usually send out articles, or I have a list of things, and we can share, or somebody can come in and say, oh, I want to talk about this today. And so nothing is scripted. The opinions are our own. They may be somebody else's opinions too, but they are our own. And like I was going to say was, many times where some of the stuff that we talk about here, I hear on the television later on the news broadcast, which I find interesting. Sometimes even days later. So
they're
they must be
watching us.
accessing this. Yeah, they're not watching us. They're accessing the same Google feeds that I am. Now, earlier we had talked about how much is scrap metal worth. And again, you have Levine's. I don't know if there's any place else locally. What some of the guys had told me years ago is just go into Cambridge or Boston or Somerville where some of these people go. And I said, yeah, right. Definitely don't have enough for that. Number one copper is $3 to $3.85 per pound. Number
Copper.
two copper is worth $2.60 to $2.80 per pound.
Wow.
And then they have a breakdown of the different types of copper. Aluminum, 60 cents a pound, but then it's different. If you have aluminum wheels, I would assume those, the rims, that's 75 cents per pound. Steel is 170 per ton. Batteries, 12 cents a pound. I'm not sure which batteries they are. It doesn't delineate here as far as what's on Google, which I asked.
Well, just on the copper, one of my relatives is a union electrician in Boston. And he and his crew, they clip off stuff and it hits the floor. They collect it and throw it in a 5-gallon drum, and they get their vacation money off the stuff they used to throw away on the floor.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they're not throwing it away.
It's like recycling your deposit bottles. I went down to, I saved them up. I put them in a 32-gallon thing, and when I get enough, they go back to, yesterday I got $7.65 for my deposit bottles, and that goes in, the money goes into a savings account for my grandchildren, and I started when Charlotte was 1, and I have $1,400
Oh, cool.
savings account, and that's all deposit money on the bottles.
My wife.
So it adds up.
Boxwoods with that money.
It adds up.
She saves the bottles. That's her boxwood.
Yep, but you know how many people just throw those away? And I say to them, would you throw nickels into the trash? I guess they would. I don't know.
Well, that's one of the things I have to find out about because one of my children doesn't return stuff. So I have to find out. So I
No,
think
my
it's
daughter
Friends
doesn't.
of Music
Yes, they do the bottle drive.
do a bottle drive.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do because of how much we have, what's the matter? Oh, you're just,
Um,
I got the wrong glasses
I'm
on.
getting
I'm seeing
static
you
in my-
doing this and I'm like, what signal is that?
Yeah, what's with the Mrs. Kravitz glasses today?
Well, these are my reading glasses.
Oh, okay.
And you're reading, so that
And
makes-
I'm reading,
and that
so
makes perfect
I can't
sense.
I can't read with these other ones.
So I'm hearing static over my earbud, and I'm trying to figure out, I already fixed your mics, I fixed this mic, and I figured maybe it's this wire.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's beside the point. So if anybody wants to know what stuff is worth and you want to try to actually, recycle it and get some money for something, there's a lot of information. I just put in Google scrap metal price. It came up. It also came up with all the local places that you can take it to. Now, some of the stuff that we did take to Lowell, he wasn't paying for, and we were happy to take it up there because he can figure out what to do with it. We took a hot water heater up there. We took, I think, a wash machine. I'm not sure if we took a refrigerator. So there's different things that of metal, and then they will break it down. And because I would assume that's part of what their business is, and you get rid of it for nothing, and somebody else benefits by it. And obviously, it's not going to end up in a landfill because
No.
they're not picking stuff up anymore.
Anything that recycling is the way to go if you can possibly do it.
Yeah, and I have some stuff, it's fairly light, but it adds up. And we had an awful lot, when we redid one of the houses, we had like hinges, we had door closures, I have metal plates for the electrical receptacles, I have
Walk
all
us through
kinds
the
of stuff.
process so you're retrofitting your house. You have hinges off the doors, you have door locks. it's all mixed metal pieces.
Right, but there's a mixed metal per pound piece when you go to some of these places.
So you collect it, and what did you put this metal in to transport it? A 5-gallon drum, or how do?
Well, I don't have drums, so I had
That's
like
what-
a gallon bucket, if it's small stuff.
A
If I have
gallon.
boxes, and then,
So okay, so you put it in a box, you put it in the car, and where do you go?
well, I went to, I think it's called Levine's, it's on Plain Street in Lowell.
No, probably on Tanner Street.
I thought it was off of Plain Street? Okay.
Tanner.
So, but it's right there. So when you get off the connector, you take a right and then an immediate left.
Yep.
If
And
you're
it's
coming up.
on the right-hand side or the left-hand side.
Yeah, and so like I said, we had a hot water heater. This is a long time ago. We called first, and then I don't remember if we had a washing machine. I think it was a washing machine. But once we found the person that's up in New Hampshire, that's his living.
Well, stick on Levine for a second, then we'll move up to Cow Hampshire. So you called Levine, you brought yourself over there.
I didn't get any money for what I dropped off because
They give you a zippity-doo-dah over there. In your case.
yes,
Okay.
but.
So what
but-
happened?
But 10 years ago, when I was doing the stuff with my uncle, I had aluminum, I had copper, I had different things. I brought it inside. You had to give them your license.
You brought it into Levine's.
Yes. To the actual, where it's like this is 10 years ago I was there. It hasn't changed any. They were sorting all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
They were separating out
Cool.
of
Okay.
what it was that came. So I know that with mixed metal, there's a different number.
And you were disappointed in the exchange?
No, I wasn't, because I hadn't planned on actually doing something. It was my first experience with actually going to a metal dealer and dealing with that. And I told you I got like somewhere between $50 and $75 for what I brought in, and I thought that was great.
You just told me a minute ago you got nothing.
No, this is 10 years ago with the aluminum, but when I dropped off,
Okay, let's move into like right now.
right now, well, maybe a few years back, when I took the washing machine up, and the hot water heater, we just asked if they would take it. He said yes, and they said just dump it across the street.
Okay. And then
That's all, nothing.
You
I got
referred to some
nothing.
New Hampshire place.
The New Hampshire, all I do is leave it in my front yard. We call Bill, and he comes and picks it up.
You don't get any money up there either.
No, I don't, because I don't need to get any money for it currently. If I had to,
I'm just asking the question.
I know, and if I had to process it, I got to pay gas to get there. So one of the things we did do, we had a 24-year-old truck that was disintegrating,
You were
a
sick
pickup
of-
truck,
Sick of looking at it, yeah.
and there's a place in Rochester.
First class jalopy.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, there was a place in Rochester, New Hampshire, and we had called there. We had tried to get somebody to pick it up, but they weren't doing that. And then, so we drove it. Well, I didn't drive it. Glenn drove it down. He followed me, or I followed him down, and they took the truck. But they gave us, like when you said about your car, as far as salvage go, I think I got like $400 for it.
That's what they gave you. They gave you the scrap value.
Right, but the
Which-
tires on it were worth a whole lot more.
Tires were
'cause
worth
they-
something, and
yeah.
you said you drove the car, so the car was operable.
Well, we kind of prayed our way down.
Well, you say the tires are worth something, but when you think about the labor that's involved to get the tire,
The tires were relatively new on this truck,
I understand.
and we never drove it.
But when you think of the labor that's involved,
You just have to unscrew them, unbolt them, that's all.
He's talking about getting the tire off the rim.
Oh, you'd want the rim.
Oh, you
You'd
would.
want the whole tire.
you would. So you think a Toyota rim fits a Ford?
No, that's
Talk
not
to
my
Sam. Talk
point.
to Sam about that.
No, I understand, John, how it all works
So
with
they
the
gotta come off-
cars,
They got to come off the rim, kid.
unless it goes on another vehicle that's the same.
There actually is a market for used tires, because what happens in the new car market, people will buy their new cars and they'll take the car as it is at the dealer, and then they'll decide within a couple of weeks or a month or so that they don't like the wheels or the tires, and they'll buy aftermarkets. So you have relatively new wheels and tires, and they're called takeoffs. Okay, and there's a market for that. So if you're in the market for relatively new tires and or wheels, you can investigate that, and you can save 50-60% over the cost of of new for maybe a tire that's got 500-600 miles on it.
Now, the tire guy told me the stress that you put on the tire, taking it off and put it on again, it does put wear and tear on it.
Well, I'm certainly sure there's some
Would you agree with that,
negative
Sam?
just to try to recycle.
I wouldn't mount or demount. You can do it about 5 or 6 times.
Oh, okay.
You're right, though. It does, I'd say you can do it maybe 5 or 6 times before you have compromised the integrity of the tire. But you're right, it does cause a little bit of wear every time you do that. So, yep, that's right.
But anyway, there is a lot of places that you can recycle items, and if you look at the recycling brochure or whatever is online in your community, in many ways they're putting down where you can take the metal if you want to do
Well,
metal recycling.
Going down the recycling road, Evelyn, I
Yes.
think of our municipalities, because we pay a premium. I know Lowell pays a premium to send its recycles off someplace. But if we followed the trail, where did the recycles really go? One of the guys driving the recycle truck says 3/4 of this stuff goes right in the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes people
And
feel
so
good.
I've heard
Why do we pay
that.
a premium for, here, recycle, and 3/4 of it goes to, so the towns, sooner or later, are gonna wake up and say, we're not gonna recycle anymore, because it's a fool's chore.
I don't know, and I should know, but I don't, what the current situation is with our contract in Chelmsford. But I know when we started the program, it was more cost-effective to recycle because they picked up the recycling, and there was no charge, what they call a tipping fee for trash disposal. And the idea was that the more you recycled, it kept those items out of the trash waste stream, which we were charged for. So if we didn't recycle and you had 100 pounds going in, you paid for 100 pounds. If you pull 20 pounds out of your trash, that 20 pounds gets picked up for nothing and you only pay on 80 pounds. So that's where the cost saving was. Now, I don't know if that's still true or not, because I haven't followed it, but for years when we did that was what got the towns into recycling, because you keep the recyclables out of the trash and then you pay less for your trash pickup. Now, does it still work that way? I don't know. We'd have to ask Christine Clancy, I guess. She could tell us, but
Yes, I
don't
have
know.
asked if she could come on City Life, but she still has a toddler.
Oh, it's
So
it's
it
tough
becomes
for
a
her.
little challenging
Yeah.
for her to be here. So once.
That's okay. I have
it-
her on my show.
Yeah, so, yeah, and Sam's on YouTube, so you can
Right.
take a look at Chasing the Facts.
And she's a very, very interesting person and, in my opinion, highly competent. We're very fortunate to have her as head of our DPW in Chelmsford. Thank you very much, Lowell, because that's another person we stole from the city of Lowell.
I don't think we stole her, I think that people want to leave.
Yeah.
So, John, there's another recycling, we'll do an advertisement here. It's called simplerecycling.com. And that takes a lot of stuff also. So if people, and they pick up, and it doesn't cost anything. And there's also another one, it's like donatestuff.com or something or other.
Simply what? Recycling?
Simple recycling,
Not simply simple?
simple, S-I-M-P-L-E,
Got it.
recycling.com. And so if you have fabric items and you just don't want to go anywhere or don't know what to do with them, and we'll make a list of them, but I had, there were towels, blankets, pillows.
Did you guys hear they're gonna break up Google?
No, really?
Yes,
What does that mean?
there's a whole lot, but he's changing the subject. But anyway.
That's okay.
So we'll end the recycling thing with
Yeah,
that.
I think we've
and-
killed that enough.
Well, yeah, and I mean.
I want to
and the
find
fa-
out more about the Google.
Well, we can do that, but I want to
Okay.
talk about that hurricane too, and we have a half an hour. And I want to talk about the new thing that the
Simple
Democrats are.
recycling.
Yes.
You said you wanted to talk
So-
about this a little. Simple, I had to go to Google. That's why Google came up,
Yep,
because I wouldn't find it. So simple recycling pickup service.
yep.
You click
So
on this
if anybody
company
out, yeah, so if anybody's out there and you're looking at saying, oh, I have all this old bedding, or you're cleaning out somebody's house, and clothing, shoes, it says small home goods, but I haven't used them for any of that. because many times I just take that to,
Got drop-off locations, too.
yes, but free pickup is where you're at. They come to your house and they'll pick up the bags. As long as they can lift the bags, they're fine. So I have 2 huge bags, but they're like light stuff.
They pay you?
No, I don't care. I just want it gone.
Because over here it says my account.
I don't know what that means because I've never accessed it.
Okay, cool.
It also,
But you've used them and you're happy.
oh yes, I use them. I've used them quite often.
Damn.
In fact, when I cleaned out my mother's house 2.5 years ago, I had 17 bags that went out in one fell swoop. So sometimes I have 5 or 6 bags. They could be any size bags, but generally speaking, they're at least, sometimes they're the 33-gallon trash bags, and sometimes they're just the tall kitchen bags and contractor bags. It just depends on what it is. But I've gotten rid of a lot of fabric items. Some stuff is good, some stuff isn't. Depending upon what it is, we have the Wish Project that takes clothing and gently used clothing or new. And so I've brought stuff up there, and I don't remember, before I knew about Wish, I took it to Savers, because I knew that it served a purpose in terms of where the money ended up going. So there's a lot of places out there, if you want to really get rid of stuff. One of the unique things I've seen on Facebook lately that wasn't there 5 or 6 years ago, you got all these sites that you can put stuff, or you take pictures and you report it and see if people will take it. And then I had talked to Candy, Sam's wife, and she said, oh, well, Evelyn, if you want to put something, put it in our yard, because there's so many people that drive by.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So I may give you something, or go by and drop one item off. I
Put
don't
it
know.
out in front of my house, it's gone in a half an hour.
I have quite a bit of stuff that I would like not to throw away.
We do that down the beach. If you want new furniture, you put your old furniture on the sidewalk, and
Yep.
bam, it's gone in 15 minutes.
That's what we do.
So, I mean, I have a couple of other locations. It's on really very, what do you want to call it, well-traveled streets in Chelmsford, but I've yet to do anything with that, because I always find something that somebody I can give stuff to. So, including relatives. Well, anyway, so that's on the recycling thing. There's an awful lot of stuff that can be done. Friends of Music always has that bottle and can drive. You may want to watch on Facebook to see what that is if you're saving things and you don't want to put it in recycling. So on the hurricane, I was in contact. My sister lives between Naples and Fort Myers. I had one of my friend's sons lived in Fort Myers. He flew up here with his family on Tuesday to get out of that area because they were very hard hit with the last storm. And I don't know, I asked my sister to text me. I wasn't calling because she is in a house with some relatives down there. So I have not.
So based on the weather report that I saw this morning, I'm not trying to minimize the seriousness of the hurricane, but it does look like it didn't hit quite as hard as they had predicted 3 or 4 days ago. They were saying Category 5, and it looked to me like when it hit the landfall, it was a Category 3, which is a lot less. Okay. Temporary, what do they call that?
Temporary glitch.
Technical